So how do you make money with a side hustle? Well, the first is line up with the right side hustle. Today, there's never been more opportunities to do a side hustle than there are today. It's everything from driving Uber to doing print on demand on Amazon to loading stuff up on eBay and selling it. There are so many ways to make a side hustle. So the first thing I would tell you is that most people fail in business when they don't know how to do marketing or they're unwilling to invest in marketing. And this is an epidemic among entrepreneurs. Marketing can seem very overwhelming, it can seem impossible, but the great news is that today there are platforms that do your marketing for you. So just for example, you could go around to garage sales and yard sales, pick up things and put them on eBay and sell them. For that matter, people can go into the local Salvation Army and often find interesting things when they know the market that sell on eBay for great money. And you could sit there in a Salvation Army typing into your phone, oh, how much does this go for? And see if there's money in it. Very, very easy to do. And the great news is that eBay does all the marketing for you. All that you need to do is write a nice description. And that these days is even easier than it's ever been because you can write a description with the assistance of artificial intelligence. So you don't have to be like a great copywriter or even study it. You can get that done automatically for you. eBay does it, or in ChatGPT you could do it and you could say, write me a description good for eBay for this thing. And it could do a wonderful job with it. And eBay does all the work. So your work becomes taking some nice pictures. That's as easy as getting something called a photo booth, which is, you can buy them on Amazon very cheaply in different sizes. Maximum price, a couple $100. For small ones, under $100. You'll take some beautiful pictures. You write your description using AI, and you can have a nice little business. Matter of fact, one of the things I suggested to my son, who's young, he's only 8, and he wants a little side business. I'm like, why don't you just collect things from people around the neighborhood that they'd like to sell and list them and sell them on eBay for them? And that seems to have eluded his mind so far, but eventually that may be something he does because it's pretty easy. You just have to take some good photos, which I could show him how to do. We have to get a photo booth, which probably one the size he would want, probably $200 in total. I'd be happy to put up that money for him. And then he could have this little business where basically he's putting the things up, he's selling them on eBay and taking a percentage. And that could be a really easy thing even a little kid could do these days. Other things you could do freelancing work in almost anything that you're good at. So there are a number of platforms. One good platform is Upwork. Used to be called Elance, now it's called Upwork. Anyway, Upwork, you can put any number of things that you can do, almost all virtually, but it could be anything from doing voiceovers to doing accounting, doing copywriting, doing bookkeeping, doing design work. There are like hundreds and hundreds of categories of things that you could do. And what happens is, again, they do the advertising for you. People put up work that they want done and you bid on it. And the thing that you may not know about that business is a lot of times people eventually get hired for either part or full-time gigs, or they just get a steady continuum of customers. Like I use a lot of people on Upwork in my business, and I'll use them for things that are kind of one-shot deals where I don't need much of it done, but I need it done occasionally. So I have a guy that, for example, my business gets me lists of properties or of monies that are left over from foreclosure sales. And he started out doing a project for me on Upwork. And that's something I don't need done that frequently because it's so easy to get leads and I get too many of them. So I just have him do his work like once a week. So I don't want him as an employee, but it's great to have a contractor that just does that. He uploads them. And then I have a separate contractor that gets the contact information for the people. Again, because those functions, if they were full-time, would quickly swamp the sales team that's making the calls. So I only want that as a little part-time thing. So I have these two people that work for me about a day a week each. And they work for other people on the other days. It's easy for them. We connected through the Upwork platform. I pay them through Upwork. I don't need to worry if they quit. Upwork has 10 more people that I could hire. But it's easy little things for them. My guy that actually works for me on the lead getting, he's a United States citizen that moved to Thailand for his retirement because it's inexpensive and he met a nice Thai woman. So they got married and he lives there very happily. He's able to work and make good money at American rates from Thailand. So that is a really great way to start a side hustle. Other things you can do, you can sell things on Amazon. If you're going to do that, my suggestion would be buy one of the courses. Look around, maybe buy even 2 or 3 different courses. learn how to do it properly. Because when you do things properly, you make the most money, and learn from someone who's doing it successfully and will show you how to do it. So there are a number of good courses out there. Rachel Raffay has some good courses on it. She also has print on demand that she teaches. I think she's great. You can look through my channel. I think sometime in the past I had done an interview with Rachel. I thought she was great. It's either here or on my podcast, I forget which, but you can look at that. She's terrific. There are a number of other people that are really good. Learn first and then execute. Learn from someone who knows what they're doing and then execute. Sometimes there are people who have sort of negative attitudes towards people who teach, like, why would you teach if you could do it yourself? Some people like to teach. I can tell you, it's something that I like to do. Like, why am I doing a free YouTube video for you? I may ask myself that question sometimes. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy spreading the information. I enjoy bringing value into the world. And hopefully you'll get something good out of this. And you can leave me a nice comment down below. That's wonderful. Some people just like to teach. I'm one of them. And there are lots of other people like that. You'll know them when you see them. I would shy away from people who you see lounging in front of Lamborghinis and bragging about their cars and flying around in a private jet that they rented from NetJets for $7,000 for the hour so they could do some videos. When people are doing that, generally speaking, they're not the real players that are actually doing the business. They're just glitzy marketers. It's all fine, but I wouldn't trust them to get my education from. Get your education from someone who's lower key. You'll know them when you see them. There are also some other interesting platforms. There's Poshmark, and there are a couple others like it. What that does, essentially, people get used clothing and they sell it on Poshmark. Now, generally the stuff that's going to sell, if it's going to sell at all, is going to be in really good, like new condition. But they hunt this stuff down, and I think they get it from estate sales, they get it from Salvation Army, they get it from thrift stores. Hospital thrift stores can have some really wonderful things that wealthy people have just donated because they wore them once or twice and well, that's the end of that dress. I've worn it. People have seen me in it. I'm off. So you can get some great things. And again, you can make a little side hustle money. I don't think anybody's ever going to get private jet money from that, but it can be just a nice little side business where your job is to take nice photographs, do a nice listing, and then when it's ready to ship it out, and that becomes your job. Other really interesting things, there's some little sub-markets, like for example, Lego. If you get good at identifying the Legos that are going to be valuable and sell, there's actually money to be made in buying Lego sets and waiting and reselling them later. You'll see this if you look on eBay. Like I saw an interesting Lego the other day that was, it was the submarine from the Beatles. I forget which, maybe Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. Anyway, this really interesting yellow submarine. Well, Lego made a Lego set on it. And what Lego does is they make the set for a while, they sell it, and then they don't sell it anymore. And those sets will go up in value. And they're generally the ones that have something special about them, like the connection to the yellow submarine. They're all limited, and those go up over time. So there are people that will acquire Legos, they'll warehouse them, and they'll resell them later. It's an interesting little side hustle. Again, little side hustle, but if you're really into Legos, it could be fun. And there are all kinds of little niches like that. I met a guy the other day who does it with slot cars. If you grew up when I did in the 70s, slot cars were a big thing. They were lots of fun. We had a big track in our basement. We were always redesigning and racing around. Well, there are people that collect those old slot cars and old slot car sets, and they sell the pieces, they sell the cars. I paid $40 for a car the other day. I knew that car was probably $9, but I was like, oh, I had that car when I was a little kid. I really want it. And so I paid $40 for it. And I was happy paying $40 for it. So these interesting little niches. My brother had a business selling old Lionel trains. His basement was stacked with these beautiful Lionel trains. He had connections with people who fixed them when they were broken. And he made good money doing it. And there are all kinds of little interesting niches like that. And I would say, put some thought into whatever you're going to do. Learn from someone who knows what they're doing. And then start doing it. I had something happen the other day where we went to a dinosaur exhibit, which is animatronic dinosaurs, and it stunk. It stunk to high heaven. I took my 2 kids and my wife, and it was just awful. It was terrible. And so my kids were giving me a little bit of a hard time about how bad it was. And I said, kids, everything does not work out. So sometimes you'll go and it'll be fantastic and everybody's celebrating. Sometimes it won't work out. And what you want to do is not get yourself all wound up in the things that don't work out, because you could be afraid to do anything. I said, so I don't appreciate being mocked, number one. I'm your dad, and that this is going to stop now. I said, but secondly, when you think about what you're doing, if someone tries to do something, you give them a really hard time, if they have no backbone, they're just not going to do it in the future. And you can do that same thing to yourself. If you start mocking other people, you'll integrate that into your brain and you'll be thinking, oh, I'm going to be mocking myself. Other people are going to mock me, and you'll be afraid to do anything. And the things that we think about, that if things go wrong, how bad it will be, almost never come true. The disasters that can lock ourselves up. So what I would say is be realistic about things, but don't psych yourself out. Don't sit there and think about all the bad things that happen. Oh, my friends are going to laugh at me. Small people laugh at everything. And small people laugh at someone that tries to do something because that reflects something on them. So don't let yourself get drawn into that trap. People that are successful, if you talk to them, all have failures in their wake. It's things that they tried that didn't work out. And if we look at, I know this is controversial, but I'll say anyway. So we look at Donald Trump, super controversial guy, right? That guy started a steak company, a water company, an airline. Those are 3 things I know about that fell flat on their face. Like absolutely went nowhere, probably lost a lot. He had casinos in Atlantic City that I think all went bankrupt because it turned out to be terrible investments. And I'm sure they were very, very expensive to build and to maintain. And, they were an embarrassing public failure for him. But today, that guy is really wealthy. I don't know how wealthy, but it's a lot, whatever it is. He flies around in a big plane and became president, and he's a very wealthy guy. What he didn't do was put the fear of public humiliation or the fear of failure stop him from doing things. And no matter what you think about the guy, I know he's like as controversial as someone could be. If you look at his ability to take the failure, take embarrassment, take humiliation, but end up on top, that's the story of many, many very wealthy, successful people. They tried things, they didn't worry too much about it failing. They didn't sign huge personal guarantees that are liable, but they did try things, and often the risk is really just an embarrassing failure. But because they did that, they found the things that took off. And you can only find the things that take off by trying, and some of those things, I promise, will die by the side of the road almost immediately, and you say, oh, I should have seen that. But successful people don't let that stop them. So don't listen to the little people. Don't listen to the little person living in your brain who says, oh, you could look foolish, because that is what causes you to lose. So don't do that. Instead, think positively, think realistically, and most importantly, get started. Don't bet it all your chips in one round, but get started. Try something, and you'll learn, and you'll kind of spiral upward into better and better results and better success by trying. But you have to try, you have to get started, and that's what we'll do. So if you're watching this video, go out there and try it, because you wouldn't have spent this time with me if you weren't serious about doing something, serious about making your life better. You can make your life better, I promise. I know a lot of really wealthy people, and you'd be surprised how ordinary many of them are. They're not like the most intelligent people in the world. They didn't all go to Harvard and Stanford and all these high-end places. A lot of them just had the bravery to try, and by trying, they latched on to something that towed them to the heights of financial success. So this is Bob Diamond. Put your comments down below. I look at them from time to time. Put your questions down below. I'll answer ones as I can. I can't promise I'll answer every question, but I do look at them, and when I can, I make new videos that answer more questions. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.